Two little boys sitting a test. One very bright, one not so bright. Teacher is marking the test paper, realises something's not quite right. Both boys have got the first 9 questions 100% correct. The teacher thinks the little boy who's not that bright is just not that good. Sure enough, the answer to the 10th question gives the whole game away. The little boy who is very bright, running out of time, writes, "I don't know the answer to this question," and turns in his test paper. The little boy who's not so bright writes, "I don't know either," and hands in his. In school, the little boy who is not so bright gets punished for that behaviour, correct? But in life, the little boy who is very bright ends up working for the boy who's not so bright. Because the little boy who's not so bright has followed a model. If someone has an answer, a solution, if you will, the pathway for you to find more success, and you can copy it and bring it into your own world, you are going to actually find your next level of success. So today I want to share with you that model to help you connect with people. Now, as human beings, our DNA hardwires us to connect with people who are just like us. Easy to do, right? When I started my professional career, I was told, find like-minded people. Hang out with like-minded people. The challenge in this day and age is getting around more people just like you continues to dilute your thinking. In fact, now we have to actually connect with people who are diametrically opposed to us. That way, our thinking expands, and so too do the opportunities and the possibilities. Now, I've looked at success models for the best part of 3 decades. To the best of my knowledge, there are no successful hermits, right? Success is not a solo performance. We need other people to help us get further along in the game of life. If we're going to connect with people just like us, easy to do, but we need to connect with people who are diametrically opposed to make sure that that happens. We can train ourselves to make that happen. It's going to take us about 45 minutes per week, a little bit of mindset training. If you combine that with new developments in your industry, whatever that is, and get around many years of experts, that's what TED does so well. It takes decades of knowledge and puts it into a few short minutes for you to absorb it if you want. When I play this side for corporate teams, when I play this side at keynotes, workshops, I tend to actually read the slide to the crowd reads it themselves, and then I ask the audience to start finding how many F's they see. F for Freddy, F for fun. And then I'll start a poll. Hands up those who see the most F's you see is 3, and I'll get some hands. 4, I'll still get some hands. 5, I'll still get some hands. 6, 7, I'll still get some hands. I even get a response if I ask for 8 F's, which tells me there's always someone in an audience on drugs, right? But that's a scary thought. But even you now have a number looking at that slide for a fair period of time, right? But the reality is your number may be right, or it may be wrong. There are effectively 7 F's. They were there all the time. Did you see them? Your mind probably goes over the matter. The matter is 7 F's, you can see them if you want, but your mind is filtered very quickly to find shortcuts. We are aiming all the time to shortcut our way through to the next level of our progress. That's what we've done as a human being for all of our history on Earth. So today I want to share with you that model to make sure that that works for you going forward. All right? So in terms of that, we have to actually stop doing what we do so well, which is connect with like-minded people. We start broadcasting straight away. We've got to tune into who the person is before we broadcast. And it can be very complex because not everyone is wired the same. Can I just see a show of hands? Hands up those who've got children. More than one child. Keep them up. I do. Same DNA, same values, same upbringing, totally different, correct? That's the challenge. We come into an organisation, it takes everybody to make a family, doesn't it? It takes everybody to make an organisation. It takes everybody to make a community. It takes all types of people. And we need to connect with every single one of those, not as we are, but as who they are. We don't experience the experience as it is, we experience as we're wired up. So I'm asking us to think about how we can change that to make sure we connect with many more people of different personality types. So let's have a look at how we do that. There's lots of ways you can do it. There's lots of personality profiling. I just put people into colours. It sounds very sort of basic, but that's how it works for me. Red type personalities are the type I see a lot in the commercial space. They're very time poor. If you say to them, have you got an hour to go have a meeting? They'll go, can you drill it down to 15 minutes? Red type personalities are always in a hurry. I think the best quote I've heard about red type personalities is that instant coffee is not quite fast enough for them. Do you know the ones? If you jump in a lift with those people and you press the floor you want, like that, they keep on pressing it to make sure they get there quicker. Ever seen that? That's a red type personality. Talk very, very fast. Talk very, very fast. If you have a meeting with a red type personality, you say this normally takes an hour. I've drilled it down to the best 15 minutes I can, still giving you 5 minutes to ask me anything you like. They go, where have you been? 3 words are better than 33 for them, right? Which is diametrically opposed to a yellow type personality. Why only use 33 if 333 will get the job done, right? They want to have an engagement. I've drilled this down to 15 minutes. Oh, but I want to hang out with you all day. How are you? That's their greeting. How are you? A red type person, hi, how you going? What are we doing? Let's get on. A yellow type person, hi, how are you? Oh my God, look at you. Like they really want to have the relationship, right? Aqua type personalities can be misconstrued for shy people. They could actually be introverts. And they hate both red and yellow type people because they're going to be put on the spot. They're going to be challenged. They're going to be asked to get out of their comfort zone. They like to sit in the corner of a room. A red type, yellow type personality goes into a room of 100 strangers like this. A yellow type personality walks out with 99 new friends. A red type personality finds the 5, 6, 7, he's already done the math. He reckons there's probably only about 15 really like-minded people and he goes finds them. An aqua type personality will sit in the corner and just observe. They don't miss a thing. We can't be thinking that aqua type people aren't going to advance us. Some of the best minds on the planet are aqua type people. Tim Ferriss, who's spoken at TED, is the best example I can give you of that. Wrote a great book, is a thought leader of a global essence, but what he does is he doesn't broadcast anything until he's tuned in completely. And I think we need to be aware of those. The last group is blue type personalities. Mum, dad, 2.5 children, understand life, have the plan. They are absolutely process driven. They love the word process. If you can connect with the blue type personality around the word process, you've got them. You know, this building we came into, it's a process to get into this room. Blue type personalities are the gatekeepers at a doorway. If you don't tick off every box that needs to be ticked, they'll show you some other boxes that you didn't even know you needed to tick, right? You get them? If you write them a letter, they send it back with all the grammatical corrections. Have you ever seen that? So blue type personalities tend to be that way. What I'm saying to you is, my most favourite people to connect with are red and yellow because I'm normally time poor, I'm normally in between flights, I'm normally speaking at a conference, I'm normally at a book signing, I'm normally somewhere else. And I'm trying to get home. But when I'm at home, I'm the biggest aqua on the planet. You'll see me in daggy trackies, mockies, I won't move. But if I'm in red mode, I'm travelling somewhere, like when I fly, I'm looking for the shortest lane, getting through security, get to the gate, I want to get on board, I want to put my bag in the overhead, I want to get going. Do you understand how that works? What happens if you're a red type personality and your partner is aqua? You've seen that, haven't we? Opposites seem to attract, don't they? You meet a husband and wife, he's red, she's aqua. You think, how did you two get together? She must, you know, it's the old saying, opposites attract. She was pregnant, you weren't, clearly. I don't know how it happened, but it's so you've got to be aware of how this stuff works for a lot of people. So there's no exact science to this, but it just works for me. I can seemingly get through the game of life connecting with people across different fields. Now, early on in my career, I could get along very, very well with red and yellow type people. I was not so great with aquas, and I'm not a very good detailed person at all. Tanza will confirm that. I hate Excel spreadsheet. I don't even know how to operate it. I don't want to know how to operate it. But you put me in front of people to connect with and I'll do my very, very best to connect because in my thinking, our way forward is our ability to deepen those connections, to make sure when you meet someone, you know their name, you understand who they are, you get a sense of who they are and how best you can help them and in return, how they can help you. So it's important to be thinking about that. So what we know about this stuff is if you speak to a person the way you prefer to speak, you speak to their head, but if you speak to them in their preferred language, you speak to their heart. And if you're in the corporate world, we're after market share. I'm saying get heart share and you'll get more market share than you could ever have thought possible. We've got to be thinking about this much bigger than how we're doing it to a degree, okay? So what we know is people like to deal with people who are just like them or someone they'd like to be. So as I'm typically red when I travel, if I meet an aqua type person, I have to slow it right down. You know, if they feel threatened and if I cut them off in their conversation, they won't engage with me any further. I have to slow it down. In terms of coffee, if I'm travelling, I'm red. I'm like triple espresso. They're probably a double decaf. And I have to slow it down. I have to make sure I'm absolutely talking much slower. If I'm trying to get on a flight that's been cancelled and I'm speaking to a flight person at the airport, I know they're going to be very blue. They're going to be very process driven. So I'm going to have to talk that language. What would have to happen? What's the plan for me to get on the next flight available? Let me understand the plan, give me the process, and I'll fit into your process. Blue type people love that. Red type people just bang the desk. Don't you know who I am? I need to get on this flight. And that normally doesn't serve them too well. I'm sure you've all been to a restaurant, haven't you? And you don't know the conversations of the people around you, but you can pick up what's going on just by looking. You see the couples that are falling in love, right? You can also see the couples falling out of love, right? You see the couples where the husband is studying the menu with full vigour and the wife is just sitting going, any moment now he's going to mention my hair. I spent all day on my hair. But he's inquiring from the waiter, how is the special prepared? And I'm looking at this thinking, mate, just give her a compliment. There is some frequent flyer points available for you if you just give her a compliment right now. But you don't have to hear the words, you just observe what's going on. I think the biggest thing to mind over matter is observing, remembering, understanding, acknowledging, tuning in, now broadcast. Tune in, now broadcast. That would be fundamentally important. So why do all this? Why go through all of this sort of challenges? I think if you understand this process here, as John said in the introduction, I've been very lucky to have a book published. The only reason it was published was because of that distinction there. We think connection is about explaining to everybody who we are, what we do, and how we can help them. When realistically, it's better off saying, it's not about me, it's not about us, it's about you and what you're trying. Give me an understanding about what it is you're trying to achieve and let me see if I can tune into you. Now that I understand that, go ahead of me in this queue. I think the world needs more of that, wouldn't you agree? The world needs a lot more of listening, much more than the talking of it. So why go through all of this stuff? I can remember my last year in primary school. I remember it vividly. I can still go back there in my mind's eye, like in no time at all. I don't remember the exact date, but I do remember this day because it was an experience that taught me why it's important to make sure I connect deeper with everybody I'm around. Getting lost in schoolwork, I remember looking up and seeing a familiar face in the doorway to the classroom. It was Uncle Tony. Now, he wasn't actually an uncle. We were brought up to always say three things. Always say please and thank you. Always use the ability to say sir or ma'am. And the third thing was, quite simplistically, if someone came into our family a lot, regular, you called them uncle or auntie. If they came once or twice, you called them Mr. and Mrs., but you never called them by their first name. So Uncle Tony wasn't a blood relative of mine, but he was somebody who I knew quite well. I saw him approach my teacher, hand her a note. My teacher says, Ricky, do you know this man? Yes, miss, I do. Then you need to pack up your stuff and go with him. So I packed up my stuff, put it in my desk, walked up to him, I said, what's going on? He goes, I'm taking you to your mum and dad, they'll explain it all shortly. Okay, we got to his car, we started driving. I said, what's going on? He goes, I'll take you to your mum and dad, they'll explain it there. I could tell he didn't really want to have a conversation with me. We drove for what seemed like hours with silence, but it was really only 15 minutes. We went from my school to a place that had this sort of sign out the front of it, and it was a very grey, stark building, and I didn't really understand what was going on with it until we walked inside the front doors. There was courtroom 1, courtroom 2. Courtroom 2, the doors just seemed to open automatically. I don't remember pushing them open, they just opened up. As I scanned the room, I saw to my right my father and a person I didn't know. To the left, I saw my mother, a lady I didn't know, and my 2 sisters. I found out later that both those people I didn't know were my parents' legal representation. In front of them was this gruff old man sitting up high, about where our AV crew is right now. He was writing and he sees me, takes off his glasses, taps the microphone and says, let the record reflect that the item of dispute is now present in the court, will continue. He motioned me to come forward. As I came forward, I could see the tears in my father's eyes. I could see my mother very strong-willed, but I'd see she'd been emotional as well. My sisters had been crying. I looked at Mum and I said, what's going on? Before she could answer, the judge started off. Young man, your parents are divorcing. Your older brother and sister do not need to be part of these proceedings because they are above the age of 18, but you and your 2 sisters are below that age. So the court is trying to work out custody arrangements. Now, your sisters have suggested they wish to live with your mother. Your father does not object to that, and the court will already take that under advisement. But here's the challenge. Both parents want you. So I need to know, who do you want to live with? Not that I'll make my decision based on what you say, but I just need to know, who do you want to live with? I said, well, I want to live with both of them. I started to cry. He wasn't the most compassionate person. He says, you're not listening to me. You just need to tell me which parent you want to go live with, or I'll decide for you. I remember stopped crying, I stopped sobbing, and I started thinking, and I thought, all right, if I have to do this then, I guess I'll go live with Mum. He said, let the record reflect that the disputed minor has chosen the maternal parent. Now, the first thing I learnt from that was I'd gone from an item to a minor. I'm thinking that's progress. This is pretty good. He says, we will now take a quick recess to just get an understanding of exactly where we are, and we'll be back shortly. Bang goes his gavel, everyone rose, everyone walked out. My mum came over and hugged me. Thank you so much, son, I'm glad you chose me. I don't think I hugged her back, and if I did, it was probably because I was off balance. My father came over with tears in his eyes. Son, I thought you would have chosen me. I said, I want to choose both of you, but I don't get to call that. We shouldn't be in the middle of this. We should be at school in the middle of our day. I can't make your decisions for you, and you can't make mine for me either. All I can say to you both here is none of my children will ever, ever, ever have to make that call, ever. And that's a big thing to say when you're 11. I don't even know how kids are made. I don't even know if I can make kids, right? But all I remember thinking was, I'm done now. I looked at Uncle Tony and said, I'm ready to go back to school. I drove off with the absolute belief in my mind that I'm going to make sure I'm never in a position where I can't connect with someone and communicate with someone for having a third party tell me what I should be thinking and who I should be connecting with. Does that make sense? It was critical to me going forward that I will always make sure that that's the case. If you cannot keep a promise to the mother of your children, who the heck can you keep a promise to? So I promised her that would never happen to us. I have 2 sons, I love them dearly, and when it comes time for them to be parents, I'm going to say to them the best thing you can do for your children is to love their mother. Love their mother incredibly strong. Connect deeper than you ever possibly connect with anyone else on the planet, and everything will be all right. That's my view. Because here's what I honestly believe. The quality of our lives is dictated by the quality of our connections and our relationships. And it's all about the power of connection and communication. That's the words I want you to think about as I finish here today. It's been my absolute pleasure to be with you. My last 2 words of the English language that I love so much are the words thank you. Thank you so much.